Hey, everybody. Namaste. Happy day. Let's find a comfortable seat and we'll get started. So, again, it really is a matter of preference whether you would like to sit more forward on your seat or if you want to sit way back and just allow your seat to support you, whatever works best for you. So, again, namaste. Translation of namaste is I bow to you. My further translation of the greeting is that place of purity in my heart where my divine nature is fully realized, acknowledges that same place in your heart and bows to it. So again, namaste. Maybe you find your Yana Mudra. We sat with Yana Mudra last time, index fingers and thumbs are touching. Or maybe just bring the backs of your hands or your palms to rest on your knees. Sit up tall with the eyes closed and allow the greeting to settle in. So if you're sitting with Yana Mudra, that is the mudra that encourages the practitioner to surrender ego to higher self. Or as I like to say, move from your heart and not from your head. But as you sit here with the eyes closed, check in that the heart space is wide open. Allowing your divine nature to be felt in a bold, transformative, and powerful way. Sit up as tall as you can. Certainly, if you're sitting more towards the front edge of your seat, you want to make sure the feet are flat on the mat. And you're trying to, for all intents and purposes, stack your shoulders over your hips. Maybe you can get the spine to lengthen a little bit more, sending more energy out through the crown of the head up into Father's sky. And feel your connection into the points of the body that are grounding you into Mother Earth. And while breathing in and out through the nose, notice the subtle changes in the physical form as you inhale and exhale. Notice how the chest rises and falls. Notice how the tummy expands and contracts. And notice if maybe there's more weight settling into the sitting bones as you inhale and exhale. But using this heightened sense of awareness to move away from the distractions of life in the big city, to land in the now. Becoming more present. And as you become more present, check in with self in this moment. Try not to race ahead things that you hope to accomplish later today. Try not to linger in the past. And as you land in the now, you might discover a change in the texture of your breath. You might find more calm in the now, trying to calm the central nervous system. Maybe you'll play with your ujjayi breathing. So, ujjayi breathing, while breathing in and out through the nose, your lips are gently pressed together. You're producing a swirling sound in the back of your slightly restricted throat. To me, it sounds like you're snoring again while breathing in and out through the nose. This very quiet, still, present place. I invite you to bring your hands to heart center. Thumbs are pressing into the sternum. And take a moment to set an intention for your practice today. You may choose to dedicate your efforts to someone in particular, to a group of people, or maybe you'll just send a little bit of extra love out into the universe. Let's breathe in together for one round of Om. Deep breath in. Um, Great. So we're just going to release the arms by your side. Let the arms get as heavy as possible and just lift your shoulders up by your ears. And drop the shoulder blades down the back. Again, lift the shoulders high. And drop them down the back. One more time, lift the shoulders up. And drop them down the back. From here, rotate your palms to face out or externally rotate as much as possible. And then maybe your shoulder blades start to lift your heart up towards the ceiling. And now you let the arms move into internal rotation and let your chin settle towards your chest. Keep your feet flat on the mat. So I'm actually going to suggest that you sit further forward on your seat if you're still sort of sitting back. And we'll do that again. Externally rotate. Let the shoulder blades lift the heart high. You might see the ceiling as you look up. And again, go for that internal rotation of the arms. Let your chin settle towards your chest. Bring your spine back to neutral. Float the arms out to the side. Have the palms facing up. And then just start to curl the fingers in one at a time. You'll make soft fists and then start to circle out the wrists. And let's circle the wrists in the other direction. And then let's open us, take your time, splaying the fingers wide, palms eventually float face up. And we'll keep it moving. Take the arms high, bring the palms to press together overhead, look up. Exhale, bring your hands to your thighs. Sitting up tall, just look over your right shoulder and look over your left shoulder. Look over your right shoulder and your left shoulder. Again to the right. And one more time to the left. Bring your neck back to neutral. Let the chin settle towards your chest. Keep your chin tucked towards your chest. You're just going to slide your chin along your collarbone, moving towards your right shoulder. And then keep the chin as best you can in contact with your clavicle. You go back to center and then towards your left shoulder. Again, chin to chest and slide along your collarbone to the right side. Back to center and over to the left side. Back to center and over to the right. One more time, back to center and over to the left. And come back to center. Bring your chin to neutral. With your hands pressing into your knees, squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other and start to look up at the ceiling. See if you can puff up the chest a little bit more. You're going to keep looking up at the ceiling for as long as you can. Just start to pull your torso towards your thighs. And when your tummy comes in contact with your thighs, let your head fall off the top of the spinal column. Press your palms into your thighs, shin into your chest, and just start to roll your way up to sit. Envision as best you can, or as best you can, stack one vertebra on top of the next. When you make your way up to sit nice and tall, shoulder blades lift the heart high, look up at the ceiling, and then you'll pull your tummy towards your thighs. You'll let the head fall off the top of the spinal column, press your palms into your thighs, and try to find as much articulation through the vertebral body as possible. You'll eventually make your way up to sit nice and tall. Again, squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other, puff up the chest, look up at the ceiling, and when you're ready, melt your heart forward. Chin into your chest and roll up to sit nice and tall. Let's do that one more time. Shoulder blades lift the heart high. It's different this time, so you'll eventually bring your tummy to your thighs, relax your neck and shoulders, and depending on your range of motion, make your fingertips or palms come in contact with the mat. Relax your neck and shoulders. Maybe you can get your chin to tuck a little bit more towards your chest. And maybe you need your hands, fingertips to the mat, or just use the strength of your legs to lift your sitting bones away from the seat. And relax your neck and shoulders and just start to sway gently from side to side. You might want to take hold of your elbows, tugging on the elbows as you sway gently from side to side. If you're holding onto your elbows, remember which arm you have on top. We'll change that in a moment. But right now, come back to center, bend your knees again, and bring your sitting bones back to your seat. And then lift your sitting bones away from the seat. And bring them back to your seat. Lift them away from your seat. Again, down. And lift up. Change the crossing of your arms and let's start to sway again from side to side. Relaxing your neck and shoulders. You aren't tugging on those elbows, trying to get your forearms closer to the mat. And as best you can, really get a sense of the spine just dangling from the very tip of the tailbone. Release your fingertips down to the floor, maybe your palms down to the floor of the mat, or maybe your hands are on your knees. Bend your knees, chin into your chest, and we're actually going to roll up to stand. So if it's for you, just let the arms dangle out of the shoulder girdle and slowly make your way up to stand, stacking one vertebra on top of the next. When you make your way up to stand nice and tall, 3 big old shoulder rolls to the back. 3, 2, 1. Roll the shoulders forward, chin into your chest, bend your knees and roll all the way down. When you get to the bottom, bend the knees, chin into your chest, take your time, roll your way up to stand nice and tall. Take your time, don't rush it. Just stacking one vertebra on top of the next. When you make your way up to stand nice and tall, take the arms wide, palms pressed together overhead. Exhale, arms by your side. One more time, chin into your chest, bend your knees and roll all the way down. And maybe bend the knees a little bit more. Maybe you straighten the knees depending on your range of motion. Take in a deep breath, breathe all the way to the very tip of your tailbone. And as you exhale, feel the head getting even heavier. And slowly roll your way up to stand again. When you make your way up to stand nice and tall, 1 big old shoulder roll to the back. And let it go. We're just going to lift up to the ball of your right foot. And then come up to the tips of your right toes. Come back to the ball of the foot. And heel down. And same thing on the other side. Lift up to the ball of the foot. Come to the tips of the toes. And ball of the foot. And press down. Step back. Again, lift up, alternating. So lift up to the ball of the foot. Come up to the tips of the toes. Back to the ball of the foot. Heel down. Lift up. Tips of the toes. Ball of the foot. And down. We're going to add a little something to this. You're going to lift up to the ball of the right foot. Come up to the tips of your toes. Come back to the ball of the foot. Bring the heel down. And now can you lift both heels away from the mat? And bring them back down. Now, you could totally have a chair in front of you so you have some support, right? And we'll come to the other side. Lift up to the ball of the foot. Come up to the tips of the toes. Come back down to the ball of the foot. And bring the heel back down. And then lift up. The balls of the feet, both heels lift high, and come back down. So if you need your chair or some sort of support, then keep it. Otherwise, maybe with your arms by your side, or maybe take your arms out to the side, or maybe bring the arms close to the side of your head. We're going to lift up and down 4 more times. Lift up with control. 4. Control the down. 3. Control the down. 2. Control the down. 1. And down. Great. So I'm going to suggest that you take your seat now. You're going to step back so that as you bend your knees, as you hinge at the waist, torso is going to go parallel to the floor. You need to bend your knees, right? If there's too much hamstring sensations with the knees straight, then just bend your knees. You're going to press your palms into the back of the chair and then see if you can curl your tailbone under and tuck your chin into your chest. So you want to round your spine. And then release that. Let your abdomen settle towards the mat. Maybe look up at the ceiling. And stick your tailbone up to the ceiling at the same time. And then we'll do that again. So opposite ends of the spinal column are now moving towards each other. You're rounding your spine. You're pressing down into the seat back or the arm of the chair. And then find the opposite of that. Stick the sitting bones up and maybe look up at the ceiling. Let the abdomen settle towards the mat. And we'll do that one more time. And we'll look up again. And then release that. So we'll come back to neutral. All I'm going to ask you to do is lift all 10 toes away from the floor. And then press them back down. Lift the toes away from the floor. And bring them back down. Lift the toes away from the floor. And bring them back down. One more time. Lift the toes away from the floor. And bring them back down. Great. So to walk your hands, walk your feet in and come up to stand. So last time we played with balancing a little bit. So we're going to continue to play with the balance here. So options, right? So many options, so little time. You're going to stay strong on your right leg. If you need some sort of support, have the chair right next to you. We're going to bend that left knee. And I'm going to suggest that you, if it's for you, interlace the fingers behind your left thigh. And then start to straighten that left leg in front of you. Turn to the side. All right, so staying strong on your standing leg. And just lengthen behind that knee. Point your toes. Flex your foot. Bend your knee. Straighten it. Point it. Flex it. Bend it. Straighten it. Point it. Flex it. Bend it. And step it down. So again, we're going to do the other side. If you need your prop, we will call your chair your prop if you need it, then hand on the chair. Stay strong on your standing leg and move the opposite thigh towards, let's say, as best you can, parallel to the ceiling. And if you're happy here, stay here. You can have one hand under the leg, one hand on the chair, and then lengthen behind the leg, point the toes, flex the foot, bend the knee, or both hands are behind your thigh. Lengthen, point, flex, bend. Last time, straighten it, point, flex, bend, and step your foot down. So let's ask you, as best you can, turn your toes out, have your heels in. You're just going to bend your knees. You take your hands to your thighs, just bend your knees. And then straighten them. Again, bend your knees, hands on your thighs, and straighten them. Bend the knees again. Now we're going to go into a little bit of a stretch here, if it's for you. Maybe you can sink the hips a little bit lower. Right hand stays on your right knee. Just let your left shoulder rotate forward and see if the right ribs can rotate more to the ceiling and look over to your right. And then we'll switch that. Let the right shoulder roll forward and look over your left shoulder. See if the left ribs can rotate more to the ceiling. And we'll do it again. And switch it. One more set. You can push against the thighs, trying to get those knees to move away from each other. And last time. That's good, of course. Now I tell you, be done sitting in a chair. And we're going to come up to stand. Heel toe your feet in. Shake out your legs, shake out your arms, shake out your hips. And let's have a seat. Now that you're seated again, I'm actually going to suggest that you kind of lean back in the chair. I'll turn to the side again. As we've been spending a little bit of time in the feet, just straighten your right leg and circle the ankle out. Take your time. Have the circles be as big as possible. We'll do about 10 circles. It's not an exact science. And although I suggested that you're sitting back, you could absolutely be sitting forward. After you've done about 10 in one direction, you'll circle in the other direction. And as the muscles in your shins, your calves, your ankles start to loosen, maybe the circles get bigger. Maybe you can articulate through the toes some more. Great. And let's step that right foot down. We'll switch sides. Extend your left leg long. Doesn't matter to me how high the leg is. I am encouraging you to get as much length behind the knee. You might feel your left quads engaging to bring more length through the leg. And then we're just going to start to circle that ankle out. And take your time. I don't know if you can hear this, but there's a cracking sound whenever I do this. What are you gonna do? That's light. And after you've done about 10 in one direction, we'll just circle in the other direction. And after you've done about 10 in the other direction, you'll just step your foot to the mat or to the floor, whatever's beneath you. Just cross your left leg over your right leg to your own degree. So maybe the ankle's pressed to the outside of the leg. Maybe you hook the toes behind the calf, the ankle. It's a little more contortive for some. So maybe that's not for you. You could also just do this with the knees together, right? So depending, we're just going to do a twist here. So you're going to take your right hand to the outside of your left knee or thigh, any version of the leg crossing or with the legs, knees together. And then take your left hand back on that seat, the armrest, and then twist to your left. And maybe you can pull your thighs over or your knees over to the right as you're twisting to the left. And let's come back to center. If your legs are wrapped, unwrap them, and we'll do the other side. If you cross the legs, if you hook the toes behind the calf, or feet are together, whichever version you did on the first side, you want to do that on your second side. So this time, left hand to the outside of the right knee or thigh. Take your right hand on that armrest and sit up tall, look over your right shoulder. And maybe you pull your thighs or knees over to the left a little bit more as you look over your right shoulder. And let's come back to center. Uncross your legs. Pitch your torso slightly forward. Have a long spine though. Press your hands to the outside of your knees and then press your knees out into your hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then Cross your hands, doesn't matter which arm is over. Press your thighs into your hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. Let that go. Sit up tall. Again, maybe you'll find that Yana Mudra, back to the hands, palms can rest on your knees. Maybe you sit way back in your chair. Close your eyes. I'll share a quote with you. It says, change is inevitable. Growth is optional. So during our time together today, the changes in the physical form might be quite apparent. You might feel a little more pliable. You may feel that you've created some length. You may feel that you've freed your muscles of some tension. But allow the practice, the work that we've done here, to be more than just a physical practice. Allow yourselves to feel any voids that you created as you may have purged yourself of some stagnant, some negative energy. Allow those voids to be filled with higher vibrations, with joy, with love, with compassion. Allowing yourselves to continuously evolve, to change. Let a prayer find your heart. I encourage you to take your yoga with you, allow it to arm you as you navigate your way through your moment-to-moment existence. Try to remain less reactive. Stay in your place of peace, always letting your light shine. One round of Om. Deep breath in. Um, Allowing for it in the namaste. Thank you so much for playing. Have an awesome day.